Hi, everyone. We have another author to share with the world. And this book is something that I'm really proud to be able to support this author, Shannon. But first of all, welcome, Shannon, to your online book launch.
Thank you, Susan. It's wonderful to be here. Very excited.
So, what I loved about Shannon was that this book was not an easy book, and not an easy book, especially for Shannon to write, but even the team. We had many tissues happening around as we helped Shannon get this message out to the world because it is such an important message. And so, we would like to introduce one breath at a time. And this book is a beautiful book, even though the topic is very tragic. There's so much in here for not just people who will resonate with the story, but for people that may lend to understanding it from another context. So let me explain. Shannon's book is around healing from child loss, and it is a lifelong journey. But when Shannon and Dean Hodgetts lost their 2-year-old boy, Rhys. They're things that we just couldn't even fathom. And we thank you so much, Shannon, for having the courage to share this journey. But this book is not just going to help parents, it's going to help so many other people. So thank you so much. I know that it's been a challenge, but it now becomes an exciting time because as you get out there, there's so many people's lives you're going to change. But I want to ask you first, Shannon, what had you share such a personal journey and all your knowledge of how you've navigated through this grief with the world?
This book I started writing because it's the book that I needed when Rhys died. Everything was so unrelatable, and it was a deep grief fog that I was in those early days. It's an unspeakable tragedy, losing our son. It's actually 9 years today since he died, and I needed to write a book that was not only just our story and our version of what happened, but as a practical guide for the support people around bereaved parents and how they can help bereaved parents, because it's a very lonely, isolated place to be. I also wrote the book to break the stigma surrounding child loss, so to give people that courage to step up and support parents, support themselves as well, because it is a very hard place to be as a support person to a bereaved parent. That's why it's full of practical tips and advice for the people around the parents, because initially the book is probably going to be a bit much for a parent to read, but it is also a guiding light and a self-guided book that assists people when they need it the most throughout their journey.
Absolutely. And that's why I say I know that it can sometimes be initially a hard read, but as you get in there, there's so many beautiful tips and some beautiful messages of self-care and, like you said, supporting others. So there is a lot that you've put into this book, and it really is something that will help, like you said, not just people who have lost a child. It could be the loss of a parent or a partner. Or, like you said, this book is also something for an awareness for people to understand grief and also what to do to help others. Because sometimes people will avoid speaking to you in fear of saying the wrong thing, whereas in actual fact, you're better off saying the wrong thing and approaching someone than avoiding them. And I think that's what I've learned through your book and through so many people's books, that sometimes people that are supporting need to learn this too, so they can support in a more supporting role than actually an avoidance role. So the other
Exactly.
thing is that I know that you did a few things during this process that helped you heal, to help you cope with this. Can you share just a couple of those things, including the beautiful memorial that you created for Rhys?
Yeah, of course. So in those early days, it was, I guess, a matter of survival to start with. But as time went on, I had this urge to create a legacy for Rhys because his presence was way too powerful to leave the earth with him. Actually, my sister-in-law who had the idea, let's raise some money and put a seat in a park or something like that, just to give us, myself and Dean and Emily, a bit of a purpose, a way of honouring Rhys. And typically in my style, it evolved into a huge high tea with 320 people present, and we raised $30,000 and we set up the Rally for Rhys Foundation. So that was the birth of the Rally for Rhys Foundation, which then in turn we created this beautiful memorial or monument, which we named Halo. And it's a seat that you can lay on. It's a massive contraption in a local park here in Launceston, and it's a place for parents, for siblings, for anyone to visit. I've had pictures sent to me of people having their wedding photos taken at Halo. It's to incorporate those people who they've lost in their special day. It became more than I ever thought, and we have great plans for the Rally for Rhys to do more. I'd love to put more Halo seats across the country. The foundation is still active, and I'd love to do more around it, more ideas. There's so many ideas that we've got that we're willing to pursue. So yes, we have the Rally for Rhys Foundation as well, and it was a big part of my healing journey because it gave me a purpose, and it gave the support people around us the opportunity to go, oh yes, I can donate money, I can help. How can I help? We had bake sales happening, we had all sorts of things, and it gave other people a purpose too. So it was really special.
I absolutely love that because you gave that opportunity, but it gave you something to focus on. And what a beautiful legacy. And that's what I love about you, Shannon. It's such a huge thing that you went through that no one should ever have to go through. But it unfortunately happened, but you're now there helping others. And I would love to see halos all around in beautiful places. So, yeah, Rally for Rhys Foundation, I can see big things happening there. What's one piece of advice that you wish you had had at the start of your healing journey that you could now pass on to others? Because I know you've got so many plans that I remember when we first spoke, you explained that there wasn't a lot of support out there in the hospitals. They were more around miscarriages or stillborn. And it's not to take away from that because it's still an absolute loss and grief that you carry with you. But to lose a 2 year old boy, you'd had 2 years of memories and life with him is a very different, maybe, way of being able to deal with it. And there wasn't a lot of support out there. And I know that was another reason that we want to get this book out there and especially into hospitals and different places so people have this beautiful source that they can pull from. But what's one piece of advice besides now you being able to give this book out there that could help with people starting on a healing journey in any aspect? Because this book is not just your mission and your vision that we're going to talk about in a moment. It's not just helping grieving parents, even though that story is and your mission started there. Grief in general is something that we don't know how to navigate through, and we don't know how to support even sometimes that person with grief. But what's one piece of advice that you can maybe share with people if they are wanting to start in this healing journey?
I think the best piece of advice in that early stages is that you will be okay. It's hard to see beyond the weather. It's a really hard thing to explain. I've got it in the book as well, but the one thing that helped me get up out of bed each day was if I can just get over to that blind and open it, today's going to be okay. And I think if someone had told me everything's going to be okay, it would have really been helpful because it's very hard to see a future when you're in such devastation. Going forward to, say, 6 or 12 months into that survival mode, the best piece of advice that I discovered for myself, which was very lucky, a lot of people don't. I think if someone had come to me and I was still in that abyss, I guess you'd call it, is that no one is going to save you except for you. And that was a pivotal moment in my journey that I knew it's Shannon. There's no one else who's going to come along and be able to say, do this, do that. Now you follow this and then follow that. I was at rock bottom and I had to find my way out. So that is the biggest piece of advice that I could give to anyone in their journey. It's very raw and it's very hard to hear, and it's only words when you think about it because that task is astronomical to overcome. As far as the book, and it made me think when you said, Susan, about the book being in the hospitals and in those packs, it's critical that this book is found and it gets into those packs. The pack we were given by the hospital is just beautiful, but they're just missing the resources that could come from this book. Also, the schools. We were very lucky that Amelie was at a primary school where they just knew exactly what to do with her going back to school, how to treat her, not just for the first week when she was back, but over her whole primary school journey. She was only in prep when Rhys died. So they followed her through right through to grade 6 and helped. I've heard of other stories that are not so successful with children going back and causing additional unnecessary trauma on the child, the sibling, when they return. If they had the book at the social workers or the psychologists at the schools, it would just make a dramatic impact. So that's also very important as well to note.
Yeah, and I think what's really important that people should know when they're buying this book, even if it hasn't affected them, but it's something that they want to support in, the Rally for Rhys and getting involved in donating can help maybe fund some of these books that go into these hospitals, which I think is really good. But where to from here, Shannon? I know you've honoured Rhys beautifully in this book, in the memorial and everything that you're doing, which is so selfless. But at the same time, I feel that it's really got me to know, even though I don't know Rhys, I feel like I know him. And I feel like you're leaving a part of Rhys out there for everyone that they can now learn and grow from, and even just stop and hug and be present in the moment with your own children. And there's so much from this book. But where to from now, Shannon? What's the mission around this book in general, helping others and how others can be a part of this vision of support? Tell us about that.
So it has evolved a little bit because the book is full of ideas for support people, for those people who are in desperate need of answers and they've got a clear head and they really are like, right, how do I help my friend? But it doesn't necessarily, as you say, need to be a bereaved parent. It's around anyone that you think that you might be able to support, or it could be a stranger with random acts of kindness. So we're starting this, I guess what you call it is a movement. And on my website, there will be a counter, so and a list of ideas of how people can support other people, actual ideas which are all in the book, but we've created this list that's available to people. So ideas of how you can support another person, that person you've been thinking of, I really should reach out and see how they're going. I know they were struggling. Is it too late? Is it too soon? Knowing that you can reach out to another human and use your own kindness, which is within everyone, to not try and fix anyone. You don't even need to use words. It's about doing something or being present in a moment to help another person, even to help a stranger if there's no one that you can think of that you wish to support. And also, if it's yourself that needs helping, to do something for yourself. So there's the three units that we have ideas around how you can support someone else, a stranger or yourself. And there is a counter available on there as well to add a bit of fun. So adding in your name, adding a click to that counter, and it will tally up. And we're going to create what we don't like to call a cult because that's inappropriate, but a movement for people to become part of something bigger and know that they are contributing to just being a decent human and making a difference in another person's life.
I love that. And where can they access that? Is that on your website,
My
Shannon?
website, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's shannonhodges.com.au. We're going to put those links below. Thank you so much. So this is the book here, One Breath at a Time. Let's support Shannon in all her vision of helping others and bringing kindness to the world. Thank you so much for trusting us to share your beautiful story, and let's get behind this book to really share it and get it into the hands of people that really need this. Thank you so, so much, Shannon, and good luck with all of your launches coming up this week as well.
Thank you, Susan. I just want to take the chance to say thank you to yourself and your wonderful team who have just embraced me and my story. It's a very vulnerable place to be. I think you're all incredible, and I wouldn't have been able to do it without you. So thank you.
It's our pleasure. Thank you so much. And let's get out there again. Links all in there. Let's get this beautiful book one breath at a time. Thank you so much. Bye for now.